Hello and welcome to the Mindful Zone. I'm so glad you've joined me today for this journey toward peace, self-discovery, and freedom from the burdens of the ego. Whether you're here because you're new to meditation or looking for ways to deepen your practice, this video is designed with you in mind. Over the next 2 hours, we'll explore how Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness can help us free ourselves from the constraints of the ego, the part of us that often holds on to stress, fear, and judgment. Take a moment now to settle into wherever you are. If you're sitting down, notice the surface beneath you supporting your body. If you're lying down, feel the weight of your body sinking gently into the ground. Let go of whatever you were doing before this moment. This time is just for you. Why focus on freeing the ego? Well, think about it. How many times have you felt trapped by your own thoughts? Maybe you found yourself replaying an argument in your head, worrying about what someone thinks of you or feeling like you're not enough. These patterns of thought aren't random, they're fueled by the ego, which constantly seeks validation, control, and security. But here's the thing, the ego isn't inherently bad, it's simply trying to protect us. The problem arises when we identify too strongly with it, mistaking its stories for truth. Today we're going to learn how to step back from those stories, not by fighting them, but by observing them with kindness and curiosity. Meditation and mindfulness give us tools to see clearly, to recognize the ego's influence without getting swept away by it. And when we do that, something remarkable happens. We begin to experience life more fully, more freely. This exploration will be guided by principles rooted in Buddhism, one of humanity's oldest traditions for cultivating wisdom and compassion. Don't worry if you're unfamiliar with Buddhism, we'll break everything down in simple terms. What matters most is your willingness to show up, listen, and perhaps try something new. Before we dive in, let me remind you that there's no right or wrong way to engage with this content. You might watch the entire video in one sitting, or you might come back to specific chapters as needed. Either way, trust that you're exactly where you need to be. Now take a deep breath. Inhale slowly through your nose, hold it for just a moment, and exhale gently through your mouth. Feel your shoulders relax, your jaw soften, and any tension melting away. As we move forward together, remember that this space is safe, supportive, and yours to explore. Let's embark on this journey with open hearts and minds. Together, we'll discover how meditation, mindfulness, and ancient wisdom can transform not only our inner worlds, but also our daily lives. Are you ready? Wonderful. Let's begin. Chapter 1. What is the ego? To understand how to free ourselves from the ego, we first need to know what it is, and equally important, what it isn't. In many spiritual traditions, including Buddhism, the ego is often misunderstood. Some people think of it as a villain, something to be destroyed or transcended completely. Others ignore it altogether, assuming it doesn't affect their lives. Neither perspective is entirely accurate. So, what is the ego really? Simply put, the ego is the part of our mind responsible for creating identity. It's the voice inside us that says, I am this or I am not that. It helps us navigate the world by forming beliefs about who we are, what we value, and how we fit into society. Without the ego, we wouldn't have a sense of self at all. Imagine waking up every morning without knowing whether you're a teacher, a parent, an artist, or a friend. The ego gives structure to our existence, helping us function day to day. But here's the catch. The ego has a tendency to overstep its boundaries. Instead of serving as a helpful tool, it sometimes becomes the master of our lives. It convinces us that our worth depends on external achievements, our job title, our appearance, our relationships. It tells us that happiness lies in acquiring more, doing more, being more. And when things don't go according to plan, the ego reacts with fear, anger, or despair. Sound familiar? Think about a recent situation where you felt upset or frustrated. Perhaps you received criticism at work, argued with a loved one, or compared yourself unfavorably to someone else. In moments like these, the ego steps in, amplifying emotions and creating narratives that reinforce its worldview. For example, instead of seeing feedback as an opportunity to grow, the ego might interpret it as a personal attack. Instead of appreciating another person's success, the ego might whisper, "Why can't I be like them?" The good news is that the ego isn't some unchangeable force. It's a habit of mind, and habits can be reshaped through awareness and practice. That's where meditation comes in. When we meditate, we create a gap between ourselves and our thoughts. We start to see the ego not as who we are, but as a construct, a collection of conditioned responses shaped by genetics, upbringing, culture, and experiences. Recognizing this distinction is incredibly liberating. Imagine watching clouds drift across the sky. Sometimes they're fluffy and white, other times dark and stormy, but no matter their shape or color, they always pass. Thoughts work the same way. They arise, linger for a while, and then dissolve. By observing them without attachment, we weaken the ego's grip. We stop identifying with every passing cloud and connect instead with the vast, open sky of our true nature. Of course, this process takes time. The ego doesn't disappear overnight. It's been running the show for years, but each time you sit in stillness, each time you notice a thought without reacting to it, you chip away at its power. Slowly but surely, you reclaim your freedom. To illustrate this point, consider a metaphor from Buddhist teachings. The mind is like a wild horse. Left unchecked, it gallops off in all directions, driven by impulses and desires. Through meditation, we train the horse to walk steadily along a chosen path. The goal isn't to suppress its energy, but to harness it wisely. Similarly, the aim of working with the ego isn't annihilation, it's integration. We acknowledge its presence, honor its role, and guide it toward healthier expressions. Let's dig deeper into how the ego operates in daily life. Have you ever noticed how quickly it jumps to defend itself? Maybe someone cuts you off in traffic, and immediately your inner dialogue shifts into high gear. How dare they? They're so rude. Or perhaps a colleague offers constructive feedback and your ego leaps to counterattack. They just don't get me. I'm fine the way I am. These reactions happen automatically because the ego feels threatened. Its primary job is to protect us, but sometimes that protection comes at a cost. When the ego takes charge, it narrows our perspective. We become hyper-focused on ourselves, losing sight of the bigger picture. This tunnel vision creates suffering. It isolates us from others and blinds us to alternative viewpoints. For instance, if someone disagrees with you during a conversation, your ego might label them as wrong or even an enemy. But what happens when you pause and examine that reaction? You might realize that disagreement doesn't diminish your worth. It simply reflects differing opinions. Letting go of the ego's need to win opens the door to connection and understanding. Another hallmark of the ego is its obsession with comparison. Social media amplifies this tendency, bombarding us with curated images of perfection. Scrolling through endless posts, the ego whispers, "Look at how successful they are. Why aren't you achieving the same things?" This constant comparison fuels dissatisfaction, making us feel inadequate no matter how much we accomplish. Yet, the truth is that everyone's journey is unique. Your progress cannot and should not be measured against someone else's highlight reel. Meditation teaches us to step back from these comparisons, reminding us that fulfillment comes from within, not from external validation. Now, let's explore how the ego influences our emotional landscape. Emotions themselves aren't problematic, they're natural responses to stimuli. However, the ego tends to cling to certain emotions while resisting others. For example, joy and excitement are embraced because they align with the ego's desire for comfort and pleasure. On the flip side, sadness, anger, or grief are often suppressed because they make us feel vulnerable. Paradoxically, this resistance only intensifies the emotions we're trying to avoid. Mindfulness invites us to approach emotions differently, so rather than pushing them away or indulging in them, we observe them with curiosity and compassion. Picture sadness as a visitor knocking at your door. Instead of slamming it shut, you greet the visitor warmly, offering them a seat. You listen to what they have to say, knowing they'll eventually leave. This non-judgmental acceptance allows emotions to flow naturally, preventing them from festering beneath the surface. The ego also thrives on stories. It loves to weave elaborate narratives about the past and future, keeping us trapped in cycles of rumination and worry. Have you ever found yourself replaying an embarrassing moment from years ago, or obsessing over potential outcomes that haven't even happened yet? These mental loops drain our energy and keep us disconnected from the present moment. Meditation breaks the cycle by anchoring us in the here and now. Each breath serves as a reminder that life unfolds in real time, not in memories or fantasies. As we continue unraveling the layers of the ego, it's important to recognize its subtlety. Unlike blatant behaviors such as yelling or blaming, the ego often operates under the radar. It masquerades as rationality, convincing us that its judgments are objective truths. For example, if someone cancels plans last minute, the ego might conclude, "They don't care about me." While this conclusion feels valid in the moment, it's actually a projection based on insecurity. Meditation sharpens our discernment, enabling us to distinguish fact from fiction. At this point, you might be wondering, if the ego causes so much trouble, why do we even need it? Wouldn't life be easier without it? The answer lies in balance. The ego plays a crucial role in survival. It helps us set boundaries, pursue goals, and interact with others. Problems arise only when it dominates our consciousness, overshadowing qualities like empathy, creativity, and intuition. True freedom doesn't mean eliminating the ego, it means relating to it skillfully. One powerful way to achieve this balance is through self-inquiry. Ask yourself, who am I beyond my thoughts, roles, and achievements? This question challenges the ego's assumptions, revealing glimpses of your authentic self. Over time, these glimpses expand, dissolving the illusion of separation. You begin to experience interconnectedness, not as a concept, but as a lived reality. In summary, the ego is both a gift and a challenge. It provides a framework for navigating life, yet it often traps us in patterns of suffering. By cultivating awareness through meditation and mindfulness, we learn to coexist with the ego rather than being controlled by it. This shift transforms not only our inner world, but also our relationships, work, and overall well-being. As we move forward into the next chapters, keep this understanding close to heart. Remember, the journey to freeing the ego isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step counts. With patience and persistence, you'll discover a profound sense of peace and clarity that transcends the limitations of the ego. Chapter 2: The Foundations of Buddhism. To truly understand how meditation and mindfulness can help us free ourselves from the ego, it's essential to explore their roots in Buddhism. While this video isn't about converting anyone or diving deeply into religious dogma, understanding the foundational principles of Buddhism provides invaluable context for our practice. Buddhism is not just a religion, it's also a philosophy, a psychology, and a practical guide for living with greater awareness and compassion. At its heart lies a profound understanding of human suffering and the path to liberation from it. Let's begin with one of the most central teachings in Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths. These truths form the cornerstone of Buddhist wisdom and offer a framework for addressing the challenges we face in life. The first truth acknowledges that suffering exists. This might sound bleak at first glance, but it's actually a powerful acknowledgement of reality. Life is filled with moments of discomfort, loss, change, and imperfection. Whether it's physical pain, emotional heartache, or the subtle unease that arises when things don't go as planned, suffering is an inherent part of existence. But recognizing this truth doesn't mean resigning ourselves to misery. It means becoming aware of what causes our suffering so we can address it skillfully. The second noble truth identifies the cause of suffering, craving, and attachment. Here's where the ego comes into play. The ego thrives on clinging to identities, possessions, relationships, and outcomes. It convinces us that happiness depends on external factors, getting promoted, finding love, buying a house, or achieving some arbitrary goal. But even when we attain these things, the satisfaction is fleeting. Why? Because the ego always wants more. It operates on a treadmill of desire, leaving us perpetually unsatisfied. This relentless pursuit creates tension, stress, and dissatisfaction. By examining our attachments, we start to see how they fuel unnecessary suffering. The third noble truth offers hope. There is a way to end suffering. This cessation is known as nirvana, a state of profound peace and freedom. Nirvana isn't about escaping life or floating off into blissful oblivion. It's about letting go of the habits of mind that keep us trapped in cycles of craving and aversion. When we release our grip on the ego's demands, we experience a deep sense of ease and contentment. Achieving this state requires effort, patience, and practice, which brings us to the fourth noble truth, the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path is often depicted as a wheel with 8 spokes, each representing a quality to cultivate on the journey toward awakening. These qualities include right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Together, they provide a holistic approach to transforming our lives. Let's break them down briefly. Right view refers to seeing clearly, not through the distorted lens of the ego, but with wisdom and insight. It means recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings and understanding the law of cause and effect, also known as karma. Right intention involves cultivating wholesome motivations such as kindness, generosity, and non-harm. When our intentions align with compassion, our actions naturally follow suit. Right speech reminds us to use words wisely. How often do we speak without thinking, causing harm through gossip, criticism, or harsh language? Mindful communication fosters trust, respect, and harmony. Right action extends this principle to our behavior, encouraging us to act ethically and responsibly. Every choice we make ripples outward, affecting others and the world around us. Right livelihood asks us to consider how we earn a living. Does our work contribute to the well-being of society, or does it exploit others or harm the environment? Aligning our careers with our values creates a sense of integrity and purpose. Right effort involves balancing energy, neither pushing too hard nor giving up too easily. We strive to nurture positive qualities while gently releasing unwholesome tendencies. Right mindfulness and right concentration are particularly relevant to our exploration of meditation and freeing the ego. Mindfulness means paying attention to the present moment with openness and curiosity. Instead of getting lost in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future, we anchor ourselves in what's happening now. Concentration complements mindfulness by training the mind to focus steadily, like a beam of light illuminating a single point. Together, these practices strengthen our ability to observe the workings of the ego without being swept away by them. Another key concept in Buddhism is anicca, or impermanence. Everything changes: our thoughts, emotions, relationships, careers, health, and even the physical world itself. Nothing remains static, yet the ego resists this truth, clinging desperately to permanence. It tells us, if I just hold on tight enough, I can keep this feeling forever. But trying to freeze life in place only leads to frustration and disappointment. By embracing impermanence, we learn to let go gracefully. We stop fighting the natural flow of existence and instead find beauty in its transience. Consider the changing seasons. Spring bursts forth with vibrant blooms, summer radiates warmth and abundance, autumn dazzles with fiery hues, and winter invites stillness and rest. Each phase has its own unique charm, yet none lasts indefinitely. Similarly, our lives ebb and flow. There will be times of joy and times of sorrow, periods of growth and periods of decline. Accepting this rhythm allows us to move through life with greater grace and equanimity. Closely related to impermanence is the teaching of dukkha, or unsatisfactoriness. Dukkha arises when we resist change or cling to fleeting pleasures. For example, imagine savoring your favorite dessert. At first, each bite brings delight, but if you keep eating beyond satiety, the pleasure turns into discomfort. The same principle applies to experiences. Clinging to pleasant moments creates attachment, while resisting unpleasant ones generates aversion. Both states bind us to suffering. By observing dukkha without judgment, we loosen its hold on us. A third fundamental teaching is anatta, or non-self. This concept challenges one of the ego's core beliefs, the idea of a fixed, independent self. According to Buddhism, what we call self is actually a collection of ever-changing components, physical sensations, thoughts, emotions, perceptions, and consciousness. None of these elements possesses an enduring essence. Like waves in the ocean, they arise, interact, and dissolve back into the vast expanse of awareness. Understanding non-self doesn't mean denying our individuality. Rather, it means seeing beyond the illusion of separation. When we realize that we're interconnected with all beings, compassion naturally blossoms. Now let's zoom out and look at the broader implications of these teachings. Buddhism isn't about retreating from the world, it's about engaging with it fully, yet without attachment. Monks and nuns may dedicate their lives to spiritual practice, but lay practitioners integrate these principles into everyday activities. Meditation isn't confined to cushions or retreat centers. It's a way of being present in every moment, whether you're washing dishes, driving to work, or having conversation. Take mindfulness, for instance. While formal meditation sessions are incredibly valuable, informal mindfulness practices are equally important. They involve bringing awareness to routine tasks, transforming mundane chores into opportunities for growth. Washing clothes, for example, becomes an exercise in gratitude for clean fabric and functional appliances. Walking to the store becomes a chance to appreciate the sensation of movement and the sights and sounds around you. Even waiting in line can be reframed as a lesson in patience and acceptance. This integration of spirituality in daily life reflects the middle way, a balanced approach advocated by the Buddha. The middle way rejects extremes of indulgence and asceticism, advocating moderation instead. In modern terms, this means finding harmony between work and rest, ambition and contentment, discipline and flexibility. Rather than striving for perfection, we aim for progress. Each step forward, no matter how small, contributes to our overall well-being. Buddhism also emphasizes the importance of community, or sangha, in supporting spiritual growth. Humans are social creatures, and our connections with others profoundly shape our experiences. Surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals who share similar values fosters mutual encouragement and accountability. Of course, community extends beyond formal groups. Acts of kindness, service, and collaboration create bonds that transcend differences, reminding us of our shared humanity. Finally, let's touch on the role of meditation within Buddhism. Meditation serves as both a tool and a refuge. On one hand, it sharpens our awareness, helping us see through the ego's illusions. On the other hand, it provides sanctuary, a safe space to rest amidst life's storms. Different forms of meditation correspond to different aspects of the path. For example, loving kindness. Metta meditation cultivates compassion, while insight, Vipassana meditation, deepens understanding of impermanence and non-self. Regardless of the technique, the ultimate goal remains the same: awakening to our true nature. In conclusion, the foundations of Buddhism offer timeless wisdom for navigating the complexities of modern life. By embracing the Four Noble Truths, following the Eightfold Path, and contemplating impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self, we gain tools to dismantle the ego's dominance. These teachings aren't abstract theories, they're practical guidelines for cultivating peace, clarity, and connection. As we continue exploring meditation and mindfulness in subsequent chapters, remember that these practices are rooted in a tradition thousands of years old. Their enduring relevance speaks volumes about their transformative potential. Keep this foundation in mind as we delve deeper into specific techniques and insights designed to help you live more freely and authentically. With dedication and an open heart, you'll discover that the path to liberation is already unfolding beneath your feet. Chapter 3: The Power of Meditation. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools we have for transforming our minds and freeing ourselves from the grip of the ego. It's not just a practice, it's a way of being, a gateway to deeper awareness and a means of cultivating inner peace. While the benefits of meditation are now widely recognized in modern science and psychology, its roots stretch back thousands of years, deeply embedded in spiritual traditions like Buddhism. In this chapter, we'll explore why meditation is so transformative, how it works to loosen the ego's hold on us, and how you can integrate it into your daily life, whether you're a beginner or someone looking to deepen your practice. At its core, meditation is about creating space. Space between stimulus and response, space between thoughts, space between the stories we tell ourselves and the truth of who we are. When we sit quietly and observe our minds, we begin to notice patterns that were previously hidden. These patterns, the habitual ways we think, react, and interpret, are often driven by the ego. Through meditation, we gain distance from these patterns, allowing us to respond with greater clarity and intention rather than reacting impulsively. Let's start by addressing a common misconception. Meditation isn't about stopping thoughts or achieving some kind of blissful blankness. If anything, attempting to force your mind into silence will only create frustration. Thoughts are natural. They're part of the human experience. The goal of meditation isn't to eliminate them, but to change your relationship with them. Instead of identifying with every thought that arises, you learn to observe them as if they were clouds drifting across the sky. You see them come, you watch them go, without attaching any significance to their presence. This shift in perspective weakens the ego's stranglehold on your consciousness. So, what exactly happens during meditation? On a physiological level, meditation activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and relaxation. It lowers cortisol levels, reduces blood pressure, and slows down the heart rate. But beyond these measurable effects, meditation also brings about profound changes in the brain. Studies using neuroimaging technology have shown that regular meditators exhibit increased activity in areas associated with attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness. At the same time, regions linked to fear, stress, and the ego show decreased activity. Over time, this rewiring creates lasting improvements in mental health and overall well-being. But let's set aside neuroscience for a moment and focus on the experiential side of meditation. When you first sit down to meditate, especially as a beginner, you might feel restless or distracted. That's perfectly normal. The ego doesn't like being ignored. It wants to stay in control. It might bombard you with thoughts like, "This is boring," or "I don't have time for this." These reactions are simply signs that the ego is testing your resolve. The key is to meet these distractions with gentleness and patience. Don't fight them, acknowledge them, then gently return your focus to your anchor, whether that's your breath, a mantra, or a visualization. Each time you do this, you reinforce your ability to choose where your attention goes. One of the simplest and most effective forms of meditation is mindfulness of breath. To practice this technique, find a comfortable position, either sitting upright or lying down, and close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Bring your attention to the sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. Notice the cool air brushing against your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest, or the subtle expansion and contraction of your abdomen. If your mind wanders, and it inevitably will, gently guide it back to the breath without judgment. This process of returning again and again trains your mind to become more focused and resilient. Why is focusing on the breath so important? Because the breath is always present. Unlike thoughts, emotions, or external circumstances, the breath is constant and reliable. By anchoring your attention to it, you ground yourself in the present moment. This grounding disrupts the ego's tendency to project into the future or ruminate on the past. It reminds you that everything you need is already here, right now. Another powerful form of meditation is body scanning. This practice involves systematically bringing awareness to different parts of your body, starting from the top of your head and moving down to your toes. As you scan, notice any sensations, tingling, warmth, tension, or heaviness, without trying to change them. Simply observe. Body scanning helps dissolve the separation between mind and body, fostering a sense of wholeness. It also highlights areas where the ego might be holding on to tension, often unconsciously. For example, tightness in your shoulders could signal stress or resistance. By bringing awareness to these physical manifestations, you release stored energy and invite relaxation. Metta, or loving-kindness meditation, takes a slightly different approach. Rather than focusing inward, metta directs your attention outward, cultivating feelings of compassion and goodwill toward yourself and others. To practice, silently repeat phrases such as, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease." Once you've extended these wishes to yourself, expand them to include loved ones, acquaintances, strangers, and even those with whom you have conflicts. Metta challenges the ego's tendency to divide people into categories of friend and foe. It reminds us that everyone shares the same fundamental desire for happiness and freedom from suffering. Visualization meditations use imagery to evoke specific states of mind. For instance, you might imagine sunlight filling your body, dissolving negativity and replacing it with warmth and light. Or you could picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast ocean, symbolizing the infinite potential within you. Visualization taps into the power of the imagination, bridging the gap between intellectual understanding and visceral experience. It's particularly helpful for those who struggle with abstract concepts like non-self or impermanence. Seeing these ideas represented visually makes them easier to grasp. Walking meditation offers yet another avenue for exploration. Unlike seated practices, walking meditation engages the body in motion. Find a quiet space where you can walk slowly and deliberately, either indoors or outdoors. With each step, pay attention to the sensation of your feet touching the ground. Feel the weight shifting from heel to toe, the rhythm of your stride, the gentle sway of your arms. Walking meditation teaches us that mindfulness isn't confined to stillness. It can flourish in movement too. It's an excellent option for those who find sitting uncomfortable or who want to incorporate mindfulness into their daily routines. Now, let's talk about consistency. Like any skill, meditation requires regular practice to yield results. Think of it as exercising a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it becomes. Ideally, aim to meditate for at least 5 to 10 minutes a day when you're starting out. As you grow more comfortable, you can gradually increase the duration. Consistency matters more than length, though. Even short sessions done consistently will produce noticeable benefits over time. It's also important to approach a meditation with realistic expectations. Some days you'll feel calm and centered, other days you'll feel scattered and frustrated. Both experiences are valuable. Meditation isn't about achieving a particular state. It's about showing up regardless of how you feel. Over time, you'll develop a baseline of stability that carries over into your daily life. Challenges won't disappear, but your capacity to handle them will expand exponentially. For beginners, finding guidance can make a big difference. There are countless resources available today, from apps and online courses to local classes and retreats. Experiment with different styles until you find what resonates with you. Remember, there's no right way to meditate. What works for one person may not work for another. Trust your intuition and honor your unique needs. As you deepen your practice, you may encounter moments of insight, sudden realizations about yourself or the nature of reality. These insights can be exhilarating, but they can also be unsettling. They challenge long-held beliefs and force you to confront aspects of yourself you'd rather ignore. This is where courage comes in. Embrace these moments with curiosity and openness. They're signposts along the path to awakening, guiding you toward greater authenticity and freedom. Ultimately, the power of meditation lies in its simplicity. It strips away distractions, revealing the essence of who you are beneath layers of conditioning. It dismantles the ego's defenses, exposing the raw beauty of your true nature. And it reminds you that peace isn't something you achieve externally, it's something you uncover within. In summary, meditation is far more than a technique. It's a lifelong journey of discovery. Whether you're practicing mindfulness of breath, body scanning, loving kindness, visualization, or walking meditation, each session brings you closer to liberation from the ego's constraints. With dedication and perseverance, you'll cultivate a mind that's calm, clear, and compassionate, a mind capable of navigating life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. As we move forward into the next chapters, carry this understanding with you. Let meditation be your anchor, your refuge, and your guide. No matter where you are on your journey, remember that every breath you take is an opportunity to reconnect with yourself and the world around you. Chapter 4. Mindfulness in daily life. Mindfulness isn't something that happens only on a meditation cushion or during a formal practice. It's a way of living. It's about bringing awareness to every moment of your day, no matter how ordinary or mundane it may seem. In this chapter, we'll explore how mindfulness can transform even the simplest tasks into opportunities for growth, connection, and liberation from the ego. By weaving mindfulness into the fabric of your daily life, you'll discover a profound sense of presence, clarity, and joy that extends far beyond structured meditation sessions. Let's begin by defining what mindfulness truly means. At its essence, mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment, without judgment. This might sound straightforward, but in practice it requires intention and effort. Our minds are wired to wander, to dwell on the past, anticipate the future, or get caught up in stories about who we are and what we should be doing. These mental habits keep us disconnected from the richness of the here and now. Mindfulness invites us to step out of autopilot mode and fully engage with whatever is happening right in front of us. Consider something as simple as drinking a cup of tea. How often do you sip your morning beverage while scrolling through emails, planning your day, or replaying conversations in your head? You might finish the entire cup without tasting a single drop. Now imagine approaching tea time differently. As you pour the hot water over the leaves, notice the aroma rising from the mug. Feel the warmth radiating through the ceramic. Take a slow, deliberate sip, letting the liquid coat your tongue before swallowing. Pay attention to the flavors, earthy, floral, sweet, and how they evolve with each swallow. Suddenly, an act that once felt routine becomes a sensory experience, grounding you firmly in the present. This shift in perspective applies to countless other activities. Washing dishes, for example, can become a meditative ritual rather than a chore. Instead of rushing through it while mentally rehearsing tomorrow's meeting, focus on the sensations at hand. Notice the texture of the sponge, the temperature of the water, the rhythm of scrubbing and rinsing. Each movement becomes a dance, a chance to connect with the tactile world around you. Similarly, brushing your teeth transforms from a perfunctory task into an opportunity to marvel at the intricate design of your mouth, the strength of your jaw, and the refreshing coolness of minty foam. Walking provides another powerful avenue for mindfulness. Whether you're strolling through a park, commuting to work, or pacing around your home, walking offers endless possibilities for tuning into the body and surroundings. Start by feeling the soles of your feet pressing against the ground with each step. Is the surface hard or soft, smooth or uneven? Observe the subtle shifts in weight as you transition from heel to toe. Expand your awareness outward. Notice the sway of your arms, the rise and fall of your chest, the breeze brushing against your skin. If you're outdoors, take in the sights, sounds and smells around you. The rustling leaves, chirping birds, distant traffic. all contribute to the symphony of life unfolding in real time. Eating mindfully is particularly transformative, given how central food is to our survival and culture. So many of us eat hastily, barely registering what we're consuming. We munch on snacks while watching TV, devour meals while multitasking, or scarf down lunch between meetings. This lack of attention not only diminishes our enjoyment but also disrupts digestion and contributes to overeating. To eat mindfully, start by appreciating the origins of your meal, the farmers who grew the ingredients, the hands that prepared it, the earth that nurtured it. Before taking the first bite, pause to express gratitude, silently or aloud. Then savor each morsel. Chew slowly, noticing the textures, colors, and aromas. Allow yourself to fully taste the flavors before swallowing. Eating this way not only enhances satisfaction, but also fosters a deeper connection to the web of life sustaining you. Even challenging moments can benefit from mindfulness. Picture yourself stuck in traffic, late for an appointment. Your instinctive reaction might involve frustration, impatience, or irritation toward other drivers. But what if you use this delay as an opportunity to breathe deeply and observe your thoughts? Acknowledge the discomfort without identifying with it. Remind yourself that being upset won't make the cars move faster. It will only add unnecessary stress. Redirect your focus to something neutral, like the sensation of your hands gripping the steering wheel or the hum of the engine. By choosing presence over reactivity, you reclaim control over your inner state, regardless of external circumstances. Workplaces, too, offer fertile ground for mindfulness. Many jobs demand high levels of focus and productivity, leaving little room for reflection. Yet, integrating mindful practices into your professional life can boost efficiency, creativity, and well-being. Begin by setting aside short breaks throughout the day to check in with yourself. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and scan your body for tension. Stretch your neck, roll your shoulders, wiggle your fingers. When engaging in tasks, give them your full attention. If you're writing an email, resist the urge to skim read or multitask. Craft each sentence carefully, ensuring clarity and precision. If you're leading a meeting, listen actively to participants, refraining from interrupting or formulating responses prematurely. This level of engagement not only improves outcomes but also reduces overwhelm. Parenting, caregiving, and relationships provide additional context for practicing mindfulness. Interacting with others, especially loved ones, can trigger strong emotions, from affection and joy to irritation and resentment. The ego loves to insert itself into these dynamics, creating narratives about fairness, expectations, and identity. Mindfulness helps you step back from these stories, allowing you to respond with patience and empathy. For instance, if your child throws a tantrum, instead of reacting with anger or exasperation, take a moment to breathe. Recognize their distress as separate from your own triggers. Offer comfort without judgment, modeling calmness and compassion. Over time, this approach strengthens bonds and fosters mutual understanding. Household chores, often viewed as tedious necessities, can also serve as mindfulness exercises. Folding laundry, for example, invites you to appreciate the textures and colors of fabrics, the crispness of freshly ironed shirts, the coziness of fluffy towels. Gardening connects you to the cycles of nature, reminding you of growth, change, and renewal. Cleaning allows you to let go of clutter, both physical and mental, creating space for new possibilities. Each task, approached with awareness, becomes a form of self-care, a gift to yourself and those who share your environment. Technology, while indispensable, poses unique challenges to mindfulness. Smartphones, social media, and constant notifications fragment our attention, pulling us away from the present moment. Rather than demonizing these tools, however, we can use them mindfully. Set boundaries for screen time, carving out periods dedicated solely to offline activities. When using devices, do so deliberately. Avoid aimless scrolling. Instead, ask yourself why you're opening an app and whether it aligns with your intentions. Practice digital detoxes regularly, giving your mind a break from incessant stimulation. Physical movement beyond walking plays a crucial role in cultivating mindfulness. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, and dancing all emphasize synchronizing breath with motion, fostering harmony between body and mind. Even stretching or doing household repairs can incorporate mindfulness principles. Focus on alignment, balance, and flow. Listen to your body, honoring its limits without pushing too hard. Movement becomes a celebration of vitality, a reminder of your capacity to adapt and thrive. Sleep, finally, deserves special attention in discussions of mindfulness. Quality rest depends on winding down effectively before bed. Create a calming bedtime routine, free from screens and stressful stimuli. Dim the lights, read a book, journal your thoughts, or listen to soothing music. As you lie in bed, scan your body for residual tension, releasing it gradually. Visualize peaceful scenes, a serene forest, a tranquil beach, a starry sky. Allow your breath to deepen naturally, inviting relaxation. Falling asleep mindfully ensures restorative rest, setting the stage for a refreshed awakening. The beauty of mindfulness lies in its accessibility. You don't need special equipment, extensive training, or designated spaces to practice it. All you need is willingness, the desire to show up fully for each moment, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Mindfulness teaches us that life isn't composed of grand achievements or dramatic events. It's made up of tiny, fleeting instants strung together. By cherishing these moments, we enrich our existence immeasurably. Moreover, mindfulness dismantles the ego's dominance by redirecting attention away from its incessant chatter. The ego thrives on comparison, judgment, and attachment, all of which fade when we immerse ourselves in the present. Instead of worrying about how others perceive us or obsessing over future uncertainties, we anchor ourselves in what's real and immediate. This anchoring creates a buffer against anxiety, depression, and burnout, empowering us to navigate life's complexities with resilience and grace. In summary, mindfulness in daily life bridges the gap between formal meditation and the outside world. It infuses routine activities with meaning, turning chores into rituals, commutes into adventures, and meals into feasts. By embracing mindfulness, you cultivate a heightened awareness of yourself and your surroundings, fostering deeper connections, greater contentment, and enduring peace. As we continue exploring techniques to free the ego through Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness, carry this spirit of mindfulness with you. Let it permeate every aspect of your existence, transforming ordinary days into extraordinary journeys. Remember, the present moment is always available to you. It's where life unfolds, where healing begins, and where true freedom resides. Chapter 5. Compassion, Loving Kindness. Compassion and loving kindness, often referred to as metta in Buddhist teachings, are among the most transformative practices we can cultivate on our journey to free ourselves from the ego. These qualities go beyond mere sentimentality. They are profound forces that dissolve barriers between ourselves and others, soften the hardened edges of the ego, and awaken us to the interconnectedness of all beings. In this chapter, we'll explore why compassion and loving kindness are so powerful, how they counteract the ego's tendencies, and how you can integrate them into your meditation practice and daily life. Let's start by understanding what compassion truly means. Compassion isn't just about feeling sorry for someone or offering sympathy from a distance. It's an active, heartfelt response to suffering, whether it's your own or someone else's. True compassion arises when we recognize that pain is universal. Everyone experiences hardship, loss, fear, and uncertainty at some point in their lives. When we see this shared humanity, our hearts naturally open. We move beyond the ego's narrow focus on me and expand into a wider circle of care and concern. The ego, however, resists compassion because it thrives on separation. It wants to label people as friends or enemies, worthy or unworthy, deserving or undeserving. This division keeps us isolated, reinforcing the illusion that we're fundamentally different from others. But compassion challenges these divisions by reminding us that beneath surface differences we all share the same basic desires: to be happy, loved, understood, and free from suffering. By cultivating compassion, we break down the walls the ego builds around us, creating space for connection and healing, loving kindness. Metta meditation takes this principle further by actively generating goodwill toward ourselves and others. The practice involves silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I be safe," "May I live with ease." Once you've extended these wishes to yourself, you gradually expand them outward, to loved ones, acquaintances, strangers, and even those with whom you have conflicts. This systematic widening of compassion helps dismantle the ego's tendency to prioritize self-interest above all else. At first glance, extending loving kindness to difficult individuals might seem counterintuitive or even impossible. Why should we wish well for someone who has hurt us? The answer lies in recognizing that holding on to resentment only harms us. Anger, bitterness, and grudges weigh heavily on the heart, draining our energy and perpetuating cycles of negativity. Offering metta doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior or excusing wrongdoing. Instead, it's about freeing ourselves from the burden of hatred. When we send love and kindness to those who challenge us, we loosen the ego's grip and reclaim our peace. Now let's delve deeper into the mechanics of loving kindness meditation. To begin, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably, close your eyes if you feel inclined, and take a few deep breaths to settle into the moment. Bring to mind someone you deeply care about, a close friend, family member, or mentor. Picture their face clearly, recalling moments of joy or kindness you've shared together. Allow feelings of warmth and affection to arise naturally. Then, silently repeat the phrases, "May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease." Feel these words emanating from your heart, carrying genuine goodwill. But once you've spent a few minutes directing loving kindness toward this person, shift your attention inward. Turn the phrases toward yourself. "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease." This step is crucial because many of us struggle with self-compassion. The ego often criticizes us relentlessly, pointing out flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings. Practicing metta for ourselves counters this harsh inner dialogue, replacing it with gentleness and acceptance. Remember, you deserve happiness and peace just as much as anyone else. Next, broaden your scope to include neutral individuals. People you encounter regularly but don't know well, such as cashiers, bus drivers, or co-workers. Visualize them in your mind's eye, imagining their hopes, struggles, and dreams. Offer them the same phrases, "May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease." Notice how your heart softens as you extend kindness beyond your immediate circle. Finally, and perhaps most challengingly, bring to mind someone who has caused you difficulty or pain. This could be a former partner, a critical boss, or even a stranger whose actions upset you. Hold their image in your awareness without judgment. Recognize that, like you, they too experience suffering and longing for happiness. Silently direct the phrases toward them. "May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease." If resistance arises, acknowledge it compassionately. You're not expected to feel instant warmth or forgiveness, but each repetition plants seeds of transformation within you. Over time, these seeds grow, softening your heart and expanding your capacity for empathy. The benefits of practicing compassion and loving kindness extend far beyond the meditation cushion. Research shows that regular metta practice increases positive emotions, reduces stress, and enhances overall well-being. It strengthens neural pathways associated with empathy and altruism, making us more attuned to the needs of others. Moreover, it fosters resilience, helping us navigate adversity with greater equanimity. When we approach life from a place of love rather than fear, we respond to challenges with creativity and courage instead of defensiveness and reactivity. In addition to formal meditation, there are countless ways to cultivate compassion and loving kindness throughout the day. One simple yet profound method is smiling. Smiling is contagious. It activates mirror neurons in others' brains, prompting them to smile back. Even a brief exchange of smiles can brighten someone's day and remind both parties of their shared humanity. Make it a habit to greet people warmly, whether it's a neighbor passing by or a barista serving your coffee. A sincere smile costs nothing but yields immense rewards. Another way to practice compassion is through active listening. How often do we half listen during conversations, preoccupied with formulating responses or distracted by external stimuli? Mindful listening requires full presence. Put aside your phone, make eye contact, and give the speaker your undivided attention. Reflect back what they say to ensure understanding. Ask thoughtful questions. By doing so, you validate their experience and create a safe space for authentic connection. Listening deeply not only strengthens relationships but also dissolves the ego's need to dominate discussions or steer them toward personal agendas. Acts of service offer another avenue for expressing compassion. Volunteering at shelters, mentoring young people, donating resources, or simply lending a hand to a neighbor in need, all these actions ripple outward, touching lives in ways you may never fully realize. Service reminds us that we're part of something larger than ourselves. It shifts the focus away from individual gain and toward collective flourishing. Whether big or small, every act of kindness contributes to a culture of care and cooperation. Self-compassion deserves special emphasis, as it forms the foundation for extending compassion to others. Many of us are quick to offer support and encouragement to friends and family, but hesitate to treat ourselves with the same tenderness. Self-criticism becomes second nature, fueled by the ego's relentless quest for perfection. Yet, beating ourselves up only perpetuates suffering. Instead, practice speaking to yourself kindly, especially during tough times. Acknowledge your efforts, celebrate your strengths, and forgive your mistakes. Remind yourself that imperfection is part of being human. Treat yourself as you would a dear friend, with patience, understanding, and unconditional love. Compassion also involves setting boundaries. Contrary to popular belief, saying no can be an act of kindness, not just for yourself, but for others as well. The ego loves to overcommit, fearing rejection or disapproval if it declines requests, but constantly sacrificing your own needs leads to burnout and resentment, ultimately harming everyone involved. Setting clear, respectful boundaries communicates self-respect and models healthy behavior for those around you. Forgiveness plays a pivotal role in cultivating compassion. Holding on to grudges keeps us tethered to the past, preventing us from moving forward freely. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing hurtful actions. Rather, it's about releasing the emotional charge attached to them. Through forgiveness, we liberate ourselves from the weight of bitterness, creating room for healing and renewal. Metta meditation can facilitate this process by fostering a mindset of understanding and goodwill. Parenting, caregiving, and leadership provide rich opportunities to embody compassion. In these roles, we often face situations that test our patience and trigger the ego's defenses. Children misbehave. Elderly relatives require assistance. Employees miss deadlines. Responding with frustration or anger only escalates tension. Instead, approach these moments mindfully. Take a deep breath, center yourself, and remember that everyone is doing the best they can given their circumstances. Speak softly, act with intention, and lead by example. Compassionate leadership inspires trust, loyalty, and collaboration, benefiting both individuals and communities. Even conflict resolution benefits from compassion. Disagreements inevitably arise in any relationship, whether personal or professional. Rather than approaching conflicts adversarially, frame them as opportunities for growth and mutual understanding. Listen attentively to opposing viewpoints, seeking common ground. Express your perspective calmly and respectfully, avoiding blame or accusation. By prioritizing connection over victory, you transform potential adversaries into allies. Finally, let's touch on the global implications of compassion. In today's polarized world, divisiveness dominates headlines, fueling fear, mistrust, and hostility. Acts of violence, discrimination, and environmental destruction underscore the urgent need for collective healing. While systemic change requires coordinated efforts across multiple levels, individual contributions matter immensely. Every compassionate thought, word, and deed ripples outward, influencing others and shaping the cultural narrative. Imagine a world where kindness prevails over cruelty, inclusivity over exclusion, cooperation over competition. Such a vision begins with each of us choosing to act from a place of love rather than fear. In summary, compassion and loving kindness are antidotes to the ego's isolating tendencies. They bridge divides, heal wounds, and foster unity. Through practices like metta meditation, mindful listening, acts of service, and forgiveness, we cultivate a heart-centered approach to life that enriches our relationships, enhances our well-being, and uplifts society as a whole. As we continue exploring techniques to free the ego through Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness, let compassion guide your steps. Let it infuse your interactions, decisions, and aspirations. Remember, the power to transform lies within you, and it begins with a single act of kindness. Chapter 6. Letting go of judgment. Judgment is one of the ego's most insidious tools. It shapes how we see ourselves, others, and the world around us. It creates divisions, fuels conflict, and perpetuates suffering. Yet judgment is so deeply ingrained in our thought patterns that we often don't even notice it happening. In this chapter, we'll explore why the ego relies on judgment, how it affects our lives, and most importantly, how we can begin to let go of it. By releasing the habit of judgment, we open ourselves to greater peace, connection, and freedom from the ego's constraints. At its core, judgment is a form of labeling. We categorize everything we encounter, people, situations, emotions, actions, as good or bad, right or wrong, acceptable or unacceptable. These labels serve a purpose. They help us navigate life by providing quick assessments based on past experiences and societal norms. However, when judgment becomes automatic and unchecked, it narrows our perspective and limits our ability to experience life fully. Instead of seeing things as they are, we filter them through the lens of preconceived notions, often missing the richness of the present moment. The ego thrives on judgment because it reinforces identity. By deciding what is good or bad, the ego defines itself in relation to those categories. For example, if you judge someone else's behavior as wrong, the ego feels superior. Conversely, if you judge yourself harshly for making a mistake, the ego clings to feelings of inadequacy. Both scenarios strengthen the ego's grip, keeping us trapped in cycles of comparison, criticism, and self-doubt. Let's examine how judgment manifests in daily life. Have you ever found yourself silently evaluating someone based on their appearance, job, or lifestyle? Maybe you've dismissed a co-worker's idea because it didn't align with your own, or criticized a friend for not meeting your expectations. These judgments may seem harmless, but they create subtle barriers between you and others. They reinforce separation and prevent genuine connection. When we judge, we reduce complex human beings to simplistic labels, ignoring the full spectrum of their humanity. Self-judgment is equally pervasive and often more damaging. The inner critic, the voice inside us that constantly evaluates and critiques, is one of the ego's loudest proponents. This voice tells us we're not smart enough, attractive enough, successful enough, or worthy enough. It compares us unfavorably to others, magnifies our flaws, and minimizes our strengths. Over time, self-judgment erodes confidence, stifles creativity, and fosters shame. Breaking free from this pattern requires awareness, patience, and practice. So, how do we begin to let go of judgment? The first step is recognizing it. Judgment operates so automatically that we often don't realize we're doing it. Start paying attention to your thoughts throughout the day. Notice when you label something or someone as good or bad. Observe the tone of your internal dialogue. Is it kind and curious, or critical and dismissive? Simply becoming aware of judgment is a powerful act of mindfulness. It interrupts the unconscious cycle and gives you a choice to continue judging or to adopt a different perspective. Once you've identified judgment, the next step is to cultivate curiosity instead. Curiosity invites us to explore without rushing to conclusions. Rather than labeling an emotion as bad, for instance, ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Instead of dismissing someone else's opinion as wrong, inquire, why might they think this way? Shifting from judgment to curiosity opens up new possibilities for understanding and growth. It softens the rigid boundaries the ego imposes, allowing space for nuance and complexity. Another key aspect of letting go of judgment is practicing acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior or resigning yourself to unpleasant circumstances. It means acknowledging reality as it is, without resistance. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, resisting the situation only amplifies frustration. Accepting that traffic is beyond your control allows you to respond with calmness and clarity. Similarly, accepting difficult emotions, anger, sadness, fear, without labeling them as negative, helps you process them more effectively. Acceptance is a form of surrender, not to defeat, but to the flow of life itself. Mindfulness meditation plays a crucial role in releasing judgment. During meditation, you'll inevitably encounter thoughts and emotions that trigger evaluative responses. You might judge your inability to focus, criticize yourself for getting distracted, or label certain sensations as uncomfortable. Instead of engaging with these judgments, simply observe them. Treat them like clouds drifting across the sky. Notice their presence, then let them pass without clinging to them. Each time you return your attention to your breath or anchor, you weaken the habit of judgment. Loving kindness. Metta meditation also supports this process by fostering a mindset of compassion and goodwill. As discussed in the previous chapter, metta involves extending kindness toward yourself and others, including those who challenge you. Practicing loving kindness counteracts the ego's tendency to judge and separate. It reminds us that everyone shares the same basic desires for happiness and freedom from suffering. Even individuals whose actions seem incomprehensible or hurtful are driven by underlying motivations rooted in pain or fear. Seeing this interconnectedness dissolves the need to judge and replaces it with empathy. In addition to formal practices, there are countless ways to integrate non-judgment into everyday life. One simple yet profound method is adopting a beginner's mind, a Zen concept that encourages approaching each moment as if experiencing it for the first time. When we let go of assumptions and expectations, we create space for wonder and discovery. Whether you're tasting a familiar food, walking a well-worn path, or having a conversation with a loved one, try to see it anew. What details did you overlook before? What surprises emerge when you set aside preconceptions? Listening mindfully is another powerful way to release judgment. How often do we listen to respond rather than to understand? Our minds race ahead, formulating rebuttals or planning what to say next, while barely registering the speaker's words. Mindful listening involves giving someone your full attention, suspending judgment, and allowing their message to unfold naturally. This practice deepens relationships, builds trust, and fosters mutual respect. It also challenges the ego's need to dominate conversations or impose its viewpoint. Acts of service provide yet another opportunity to let go of judgment. Volunteering at shelters, mentoring young people, or helping a neighbor in need shifts the focus away from personal gain and toward collective well-being. Service reminds us that everyone has value, regardless of their background, choices, or circumstances. When we extend kindness without conditions, we transcend the ego's divisive tendencies and contribute to a culture of inclusivity and care. Forgiveness is closely tied to releasing judgment. Holding on to grudges keeps us tethered to the past, fueling resentment and bitterness. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing hurtful actions. Rather, it's about releasing the emotional charge attached to them. Through forgiveness, we liberate ourselves from the weight of judgment, creating room for healing and renewal. Metta meditation can facilitate this process by fostering a mindset of understanding and goodwill. Parenting, caregiving, and leadership offer rich contexts for practicing non-judgment. In these roles, we often face situations that test our patience and trigger the ego's defenses. Children misbehave, elderly relatives require assistance, employees miss deadlines. Responding with frustration or anger only escalates tension. Instead, approach these moments mindfully. Take a deep breath, center yourself, and remember that everyone is doing the best they can given their circumstances. Speak softly, act with intention, and lead by example. Non-judgmental leadership inspires trust, loyalty, and collaboration, benefiting both individuals and communities. Conflict resolution also benefits from letting go of judgment. Disagreements inevitably arise in any relationship, whether personal or professional. Rather than approaching conflicts adversarially, frame them as opportunities for growth and mutual understanding. Listen attentively to opposing viewpoints, seeking common ground. Express your perspective calmly and respectfully, avoiding blame or accusation. By prioritizing connection over victory, you transform potential adversaries into allies. Even global issues demand a shift away from judgment. In today's polarized world, divisiveness dominates headlines, fueling fear, mistrust, and hostility. Acts of violence, discrimination, and environmental destruction underscore the urgent need for collective healing. While systemic change requires coordinated efforts across multiple levels, individual contributions matter immensely. Every compassionate thought, word, and deed ripples outward, influencing others and shaping the cultural narrative. Imagine a world where kindness prevails over cruelty, inclusivity over exclusion, cooperation over competition. Such a vision begins with each of us choosing to act from a place of love rather than fear. Finally, let's touch on the transformative power of gratitude in releasing judgment. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. When we appreciate the beauty, generosity, and resilience present in our lives, we naturally become less critical and more open-hearted. Keeping a gratitude journal, reflecting on blessings before bed, or expressing thanks to others cultivates a mindset of abundance. This practice counters the ego's scarcity mentality, which thrives on comparison and dissatisfaction. In summary, letting go of judgment is a radical act of liberation. It frees us from the ego's narrow confines, opening us to a wider, more inclusive perspective. By cultivating awareness, curiosity, acceptance, and compassion, we dissolve the barriers that separate us from ourselves, others, and the world. Through mindfulness, meditation, loving kindness, mindful listening, acts of service, forgiveness, and gratitude, we create a foundation for living authentically and harmoniously. As we continue exploring techniques to free the ego through Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness, carry this commitment to non-judgment with you. Let it guide your interactions, decisions, and aspirations. Remember, every moment offers an opportunity to choose presence over prejudice, connection over separation, and love over fear. Chapter 7. Working with difficult emotions. Difficult emotions, anger, sadness, fear, frustration, jealousy, are an inevitable part of being human. They arise in response to life's challenges, losses, and uncertainties, and they often feel overwhelming. The ego loves to latch onto these emotions, amplifying them and creating narratives that keep us stuck in cycles of suffering. But what if we could meet difficult emotions with curiosity and compassion instead of resistance or judgment? In this chapter, we'll explore how to work skillfully with challenging feelings, transforming them from sources of pain into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. The first thing to understand about difficult emotions is that they're not inherently bad. They're natural responses to stimuli, signals from our inner world alerting us to something important. Anger might indicate a boundary has been crossed. Sadness could point to unmet needs or unresolved grief. Fear may highlight areas where we feel vulnerable or unsafe. These emotions serve a purpose. They guide us toward understanding ourselves and navigating life more effectively. The problem arises when we resist or suppress them, allowing the ego to distort their message and prolong our suffering. Let's take anger as an example. When someone cuts you off in traffic or criticizes your work unfairly, it's normal to feel angry. The ego immediately steps in, spinning stories about the injustice of the situation and fueling resentment. You might ruminate on the incident for hours, replaying it in your mind and imagining retaliatory scenarios. This reaction not only intensifies the initial emotion, but also keeps you trapped in negativity. Instead of addressing the root cause of your anger, you're caught in a loop of reactivity. Mindfulness offers a different approach. Rather than pushing away anger or indulging in it, mindfulness invites us to observe it with curiosity and non-judgment. Picture anger as a storm cloud passing through the sky. It appears suddenly, darkens the atmosphere, and then dissipates just as quickly. By stepping back and witnessing the emotion without attaching to it, we weaken its hold on us. We begin to see anger not as who we are, but as a temporary state, one that will pass if we allow it to. One powerful technique for working with anger is labeling. When you notice anger arising, silently acknowledge it by saying, "This is anger." Labeling creates distance between you and the emotion, reminding you that you're not identical to it. Once you've named the feeling, investigate it further. Where do you feel anger in your body? Is it a tightness in your chest, a heat in your face, or a clenched jaw? By focusing on physical sensations, you ground yourself in the present moment and prevent the mind from spiraling into destructive thoughts. Another helpful strategy is exploring the underlying causes of anger. What triggered it? Was it truly about the external event, or does it tap into deeper insecurities or fears? For instance, criticism at work might trigger anger because it touches on doubts about your competence. Recognizing this connection allows you to address the real issue rather than lashing out at the immediate source. Journaling can be a valuable tool here. Writing down your thoughts helps clarify patterns and provides insight into recurring triggers. Sadness, too, deserves compassionate attention. Unlike anger, which tends to explode outward, sadness often turns inward, manifesting as heaviness, lethargy, or withdrawal. The ego exploits sadness by reinforcing narratives of inadequacy or loss. "I'll never be happy again," and it whispers. "No one understands me." These thoughts deepen the sense of isolation and prolong the emotional pain. To work with sadness, start by validating your experience. Remind yourself that it's okay to feel this way, that sadness is a natural response to certain situations. Suppressing it only delays the healing process. Instead, create space for the emotion to exist. Allow yourself to cry if needed. Tears release pent-up energy and provide relief. If you're comfortable, share your feelings with a trusted friend or therapist. Vulnerability fosters connection and reminds you that you're not alone. Meditation can also help process sadness. Sit quietly and bring your awareness to the sensation of sadness in your body. Notice its texture. Is it sharp, dull, achy, or heavy? Breathe into the areas where you feel it most strongly, inviting softness and openness. Visualize the sadness as a color or shape and imagine it slowly dissolving with each exhale. This visualization loosens the grip of the emotion, making it easier to let go. Fear is another common yet challenging emotion. Whether it's fear of failure, rejection, change, or uncertainty, fear activates the body's fight or flight response, flooding it with adrenaline and cortisol. The ego exacerbates fear by catastrophizing potential outcomes. What if I lose my job? It asks. What if no one loves me? These hypothetical scenarios trap us in anxiety, preventing us from taking action or enjoying the present moment. To work with fear, begin by acknowledging its presence. Say to yourself, "This is fear," and locate where you feel it in your body. Often fear manifests as a knot in the stomach, a racing heart, or shallow breathing. Ground yourself by focusing on your breath. Inhale deeply through your nose, filling your lungs completely, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Repeat this cycle several times until you feel calmer. Once you've stabilized your nervous system, examine the thoughts driving your fear. Are they based on facts or assumptions? How likely are the worst-case scenarios to occur? Challenging irrational beliefs reduces their power over you. Visualization exercises can also be beneficial. Imagine yourself facing your fear successfully. See yourself speaking confidently during a presentation, navigating a difficult conversation, or adapting to a major life change. Repeatedly rehearsing positive outcomes builds resilience and courage. Jealousy is perhaps the most insidious of difficult emotions because it thrives on comparison. The ego uses jealousy to measure your worth against others, leading to feelings of inadequacy and resentment. Social media amplifies this tendency, bombarding us with curated images of perfection. Scrolling through endless posts, the ego whispers, "Why aren't you achieving the same things? Why don't you look like that?" This constant comparison fuels dissatisfaction, making us feel inadequate no matter how much we accomplish. To counteract jealousy, practice gratitude for what you already have. Make a list of your strengths, accomplishments, and blessings. Reflect on the unique qualities that make you who you are. Remember, everyone's journey is different. Your progress cannot and should not be measured against someone else's highlight reel. Meditation supports this shift by training the mind to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. During your practice, visualize sending love and appreciation to yourself and others. Celebrate their successes as if they were your own, recognizing that joy isn't a finite resource. Frustration often arises when reality doesn't align with our expectations. Plans fall through, technology fails, people disappoint us. The ego reacts by complaining, blaming, or fixating on what went wrong. This resistance only intensifies frustration, keeping us stuck in negativity. Instead of resisting, try embracing imperfection. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of surprises. Accepting this truth frees you from the need for control. When frustration arises, pause and breathe. Ask yourself, is there anything I can do right now to improve the situation? If yes, take action. If no, surrender to the moment and trust that things will unfold as they're meant to. Practicing patience strengthens your ability to tolerate discomfort without reacting impulsively. Guilt and shame are particularly challenging emotions because they target our sense of identity. Guilt stems from regret over past actions, while shame attacks our core worthiness. The ego exploits both by replaying memories of mistakes and magnifying perceived flaws. Breaking free from guilt and shame requires self-forgiveness. Acknowledge the harm caused, express remorse, and commit to making amends if possible. Then release the burden of guilt by reminding yourself that you're human and humans make mistakes. Shame dissolves when we replace self-criticism with self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a dear friend struggling with similar feelings. Finally, let's discuss the role of community in working with difficult emotions. While meditation and mindfulness provide invaluable tools for processing emotions individually, sharing your experiences with others fosters healing and growth. Support groups and therapy sessions and open conversations create safe spaces for vulnerability and mutual understanding. Hearing others' stories reminds us that we're not alone in our struggles. Collective wisdom empowers us to navigate challenges more skillfully. In summary, working with difficult emotions is a cornerstone of freeing the ego. By meeting anger, sadness, fear, jealousy, frustration, guilt, and shame with awareness, curiosity, and compassion, we loosen their grip on our minds and hearts. Mindfulness, meditation, journaling, visualization, gratitude, and community support equip us to transform pain into insight and resilience. As we continue exploring techniques to free the ego through Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness, carry this commitment to emotional intelligence with you. Let it guide your responses, decisions, and interactions. Remember, every emotion carries a lesson. If we listen closely enough, we'll discover the path to greater peace, authenticity, and freedom. Chapter 8. Cultivating Gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most transformative practices we can cultivate on our journey to free ourselves from the ego. It shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's abundant, dissolving the ego's tendency to dwell on scarcity, comparison, and dissatisfaction. In this chapter, we'll explore why gratitude is so powerful, how it counteracts the ego's grip, and how you can integrate it into your daily life through mindfulness, meditation, and intentional action. By embracing gratitude, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of joy, connection, and fulfillment that transcends fleeting circumstances. At its core, gratitude is an acknowledgement of the good in our lives, both big and small. It's a recognition that even amidst challenges and hardships, there are moments, people, and experiences worth cherishing. The ego, however, often resists gratitude because it thrives on dissatisfaction. The ego convinces us that happiness lies just beyond the next achievement, purchase, or milestone. This endless pursuit leaves us perpetually unsatisfied, blind to the beauty already present in our lives. Gratitude interrupts this cycle by redirecting our attention to what we have rather than what we lack. Let's delve into the science behind gratitude to understand its profound impact. Research shows that practicing gratitude rewires the brain, activating regions associated with positive emotions, empathy, and resilience. People who regularly express gratitude report higher levels of well-being, stronger relationships, and greater overall life satisfaction. Gratitude also reduces stress, anxiety, and depression by shifting our perspective away from negativity bias, the brain's natural inclination to focus on threats and problems. Instead of ruminating on what went wrong, gratitude trains us to notice what went right. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to cultivate gratitude is through a gratitude journal. Each day, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be monumental. A warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a stranger, or the sound of birds chirping outside your window will count. The key is consistency. Over time, this practice rewires your mind to scan for positivity automatically, creating a feedback loop of appreciation and contentment. If writing isn't your style, consider speaking your gratitude aloud during morning or evening reflections. Verbalizing thanks amplifies its impact, reinforcing the habit. Mindfulness enhances gratitude by grounding us in the present moment. When we slow down and pay attention, we begin to notice details we might otherwise overlook. For example, savoring a meal mindfully allows us to appreciate the flavors, textures, and aromas fully. Walking in nature invites us to marvel at the intricate patterns of leaves, the play of sunlight on water, or the rhythm of our footsteps. These seemingly ordinary moments become extraordinary when viewed through the lens of gratitude. Mindfulness reminds us that abundance isn't something we acquire externally, it's something we uncover within. Meditation offers another powerful avenue for cultivating gratitude. Gratitude meditation involves visualizing the people, experiences, and blessings in your life and silently expressing thanks for them. Begin by finding a comfortable position and closing your eyes if you feel inclined. Take a few deep breaths to settle into the moment. Then bring to mind someone who has positively influenced your life, a parent, teacher, friend, or mentor. Picture their face clearly, recalling specific instances where they supported or inspired you. Silently say, "Thank you for being part of my life. Thank you for your kindness, wisdom, and love." Feel the warmth of gratitude radiating from your heart. Once you've extended gratitude toward others, turn your attention inward. Acknowledge your own efforts, strengths, and accomplishments. The ego often dismisses self-appreciation as selfish or indulgent, but true gratitude includes recognizing your inherent worth. Say to yourself, "Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for your courage, resilience, and creativity." Self-gratitude fosters self-compassion, countering the inner critic's relentless judgments. Expanding gratitude outward to include strangers, nature, and even challenging situations deepens its transformative power. Consider the grocery store clerk who bags your items with care, the postal worker who delivers your mail rain or shine, or the farmer who grows the food you eat. Though you may never meet these individuals personally, their contributions enrich your life. Expressing silent thanks for their efforts cultivates a sense of interconnectedness, reminding you that no act is too small to matter. Nature provides endless opportunities for gratitude. Whether you live in a bustling city or a serene countryside, elements of the natural world surround you. Take a moment to thank the sun for its warmth, the rain for nourishing the earth, and the trees for providing oxygen and shade. Nature operates selflessly, offering its gifts without expectation of return. Reflecting on this generosity inspires humility and reverence, qualities that counteract the ego's self-centered tendencies. Even difficult situations can be approached with gratitude. While it may seem counterintuitive to feel thankful during times of struggle, reframing adversity as a teacher reveals hidden blessings. For instance, losing a job might initially evoke fear and frustration, but it could also lead to new opportunities, personal growth, or career change aligned with your passions. A health challenge might inspire healthier habits, deeper connections with loved ones, or a renewed appreciation for life itself. Gratitude doesn't negate pain, it coexists with it, softening its edges and illuminating silver linings. Acts of service further amplify gratitude by fostering a spirit of giving. Volunteering at shelters, mentoring young people, or helping a neighbor in need shifts the focus away from personal gain and toward collective well-being. Service reminds us that everyone has value regardless of their background, choices, or circumstances. When we extend kindness without conditions, we transcend the ego's divisive tendencies and contribute to a culture of inclusivity and care. Parenting, caregiving, and leadership offer rich contexts for practicing gratitude. In these roles, we often face situations that test our patience and trigger the ego's defenses. Children misbehave, elderly relatives require assistance, employees miss deadlines. Responding with frustration or anger only escalates tension. Instead, approach these moments mindfully. Take a deep breath, center yourself, and remember that everyone is doing the best they can given their circumstances. Speak softly, act with intention, and lead by example. Non-judgmental leadership inspires trust, loyalty, and collaboration, benefiting both individuals and communities. Conflict resolution also benefits from gratitude. Disagreements inevitably arise in any relationship, whether personal or professional. Rather than approaching conflicts adversarially, frame them as opportunities for growth and mutual understanding. Listen attentively to opposing viewpoints, seeking common ground. Express your perspective calmly and respectfully, avoiding blame or accusation. By prioritizing connection over victory, you transform potential adversaries into allies. Even global issues demand a shift toward gratitude. In today's polarized world, divisiveness dominates headlines, fueling fear, mistrust, and hostility. Acts of violence, discrimination, and environmental destruction underscore the urgent need for collective healing. While systemic change requires coordinated efforts across multiple levels, individual contributions matter immensely. Every compassionate thought, word, and deed ripples outward, influencing others and shaping the cultural narrative. Imagine a world where kindness prevails over cruelty, inclusivity over exclusion, cooperation over competition. Such a vision begins with each of us choosing to act from a place of love rather than fear. Finally, let's touch on the spiritual dimensions of gratitude. Many traditions, including Buddhism, emphasize gratitude as a path to enlightenment. By cultivating gratitude, we align ourselves with the flow of life, surrendering to its rhythms and mysteries. We recognize that everything we have, our breath, our bodies, our relationships, is a gift. This awareness fosters humility and awe, qualities that dissolve the ego's illusion of separateness. Gratitude becomes not just a practice, but a way of being, a lens through which we view the world. In summary, gratitude is a radical antidote to the ego's scarcity mentality. It opens our hearts, expands our perspective, and connects us to the abundance already present in our lives. Through practices like journaling, mindfulness, meditation, acts of service, and reframing adversity, we cultivate a mindset of appreciation and wonder. Gratitude transforms ordinary moments into sacred ones, reminding us that happiness isn't something we chase, It's something we nurture within. As we continue exploring techniques to free the ego through Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness, carry this spirit of gratitude with you. Let it infuse your interactions, decisions, and aspirations. Remember, every breath is a blessing, every moment an opportunity to give thanks. Chapter 9. Building a consistent practice. Building a consistent practice is the cornerstone of any meaningful transformation, especially when it comes to freeing ourselves from the ego through meditation, mindfulness, and compassion. While understanding the principles behind these practices is essential, true growth requires repetition, patience, and dedication. In this chapter, we'll explore how to establish and maintain a sustainable routine that supports your journey toward greater awareness, peace, and freedom. The first step in building a consistent practice is recognizing that consistency matters more than intensity. It's tempting to aim for grand gestures, meditating for an hour every day, journaling pages upon pages, or attending multiple retreats, but such ambitions often lead to burnout. Instead, focus on small, manageable actions that you can sustain over time. A 5-minute meditation session done daily has far greater impact than sporadic hour-long sessions. The key is to create habits that fit naturally into your life, becoming as automatic as brushing your teeth or drinking water. Let's start by addressing one of the most common obstacles to consistency: resistance. The ego loves to resist change because it thrives on comfort zones and familiar patterns. When you commit to a new practice, the ego will likely throw up roadblocks, excuses like, "I don't have time," "I'm too tired," or "this isn't working." These thoughts are normal. They're simply the ego's way of trying to protect itself. The trick is not to fight them, but to acknowledge them with curiosity and compassion. Remind yourself why you started this journey: to cultivate inner peace, deepen self-awareness, and free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Reconnecting with your purpose strengthens your resolve and helps you push past resistance. Setting realistic goals is another critical component of consistency. Begin by identifying what's feasible given your current schedule and energy levels. If mornings feel chaotic, perhaps evening practices suit you better. If sitting still feels challenging, incorporate movement-based mindfulness like yoga or Tai Chi. Tailor your approach to your unique needs and preferences. Remember, there's no right way to practice. It's about finding what works for you and sticking with it. One effective strategy for staying consistent is creating a dedicated space for your practice. Whether it's a corner of your bedroom, a cozy chair, or even a spot outdoors, having a designated area signals to your mind that it's time to focus inward. Keep this space clean, inviting, and free from distractions. You might add elements that inspire calm, a cushion, candles, crystals, or plants, to enhance the atmosphere. Over time, this physical space becomes associated with tranquility, making it easier to settle into your practice. Accountability also plays a vital role in maintaining consistency. Sharing your intentions with someone else, a friend, family member, or mentor, creates a sense of responsibility. Knowing that someone else is aware of your commitment encourages you to follow through. Alternatively, joining a group or community provides built-in support and motivation. Group meditations, workshops, or online forums connect you with like-minded individuals who share similar goals. Their encouragement and insights can be invaluable during moments of doubt or fatigue. Incorporating variety into your practice prevents boredom and keeps you engaged. While consistency involves sticking to a routine, it doesn't mean doing the same thing every single day. Experiment with different techniques to discover what resonates most deeply with you. For example, alternate between mindfulness meditation, loving kindness, metta meditation, body scans, and visualization exercises. Try guided meditations if solo sessions feel daunting. Explore apps, podcasts, or YouTube videos that offer fresh perspectives and guidance. Variety ensures that your practice remains dynamic and fulfilling. Tracking progress can further reinforce consistency. Keeping a journal allows you to document your experiences, challenges, and breakthroughs along the way. Write down how each session felt. Did you notice shifts in your mood, thoughts, or physical sensations? Reflect on patterns that emerge over time. Did certain practices yield better results than others? Journaling not only deepens your understanding, but also serves as a reminder of how far you've come. On days when motivation wanes, flipping through past entries can reignite your enthusiasm. Mindfulness off the cushion is equally important for sustaining a consistent practice. Formal meditation sessions lay the foundation, but integrating mindfulness into everyday activities amplifies its effects. Use reminders throughout the day to anchor yourself in the present moment. Set alarms on your phone labeled "Breathe" or "Be here now." Pause before meals to express gratitude. Take mindful walks during breaks at work. Even simple acts like washing dishes or folding laundry can become opportunities for presence. By weaving mindfulness into your daily life, you strengthen your ability to stay grounded, regardless of external circumstances. Overcoming setbacks is another crucial aspect of building consistency. No matter how committed you are, there will be days when life gets in the way. Illness, travel, work deadlines, or unexpected events disrupt your routine. Rather than viewing these interruptions as failures, treat them as part of the process. Missing a day or several doesn't erase the benefits of previous sessions. What matters is returning to your practice as soon as possible. Self-compassion is key here. Avoid berating yourself for perceived shortcomings. Instead, gently redirect your focus back to your intentions. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Celebrating milestones, both big and small, boosts motivation and reinforces positive habits. Completing 30 consecutive days of meditation, noticing increased patience with loved ones, or experiencing fewer anxious thoughts are all achievements worth acknowledging. Celebrate in ways that align with your values. Treat yourself to a favorite meal, spend time in nature, or write a heartfelt note to yourself. Recognizing your efforts cultivates a sense of accomplishment and fuels continued effort. Technology offers numerous tools to support consistency. Meditation apps like Headspace, Calm, or Insight Timer provide structured programs, timers, and reminders to keep you on track. Online platforms host virtual retreats, courses, and communities where you can learn and grow alongside others. Wearable devices monitor your stress levels, heart rate variability, and sleep quality, offering tangible feedback on the impact of your practice. While technology shouldn't replace personal discipline, it can serve as a helpful supplement to your routine. Parenting, caregiving, and leadership roles present unique challenges and opportunities for maintaining a consistent practice. Balancing responsibilities with self-care requires creativity and flexibility. Short bursts of mindfulness throughout the day, a few conscious breaths while feeding a baby, a quick body scan during a meeting, or a moment of gratitude before bed can make a significant difference. Modeling mindful behavior inspires those around you to adopt similar practices, fostering a culture of presence and compassion within your household or workplace. Finally, let's touch on the importance of patience and trust in the process. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. Just as seeds need time to germinate, sprout, and bloom, so too does your practice require nurturing and faith. There will be periods of rapid growth followed by plateaus. Some days will feel effortless, others may seem frustratingly stagnant. Trust that every session contributes to your overall development, even if the effects aren't immediately visible. Like drops of water carving a canyon, steady effort shapes your mind and heart over time. In summary, building a consistent practice is about cultivating habits that align with your values and aspirations. By setting realistic goals, creating a supportive environment, embracing accountability, incorporating variety, tracking progress, practicing self-compassion, leveraging technology, and trusting the process, you lay the groundwork for lasting change. Consistency transforms fleeting inspiration into enduring transformation, empowering you to live with greater clarity, connection, and freedom. As we near the end of our exploration of techniques, To free the ego through Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness, carry this commitment to consistency with you. Let it guide your daily choices, decisions, and interactions. Remember, every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to the peace and liberation you seek. Chapter 10. Living Beyond the Ego. Living beyond the ego is not about erasing it entirely. It's about transcending its limitations and recognizing its role as a tool rather than a master. This final chapter invites you to envision what life might look like when we step outside the confines of the ego's dominance. It's a journey toward freedom, authenticity, and interconnectedness, a way of being that aligns with the deepest truths of existence. Here we'll explore how living beyond the ego transforms our relationships, work, creativity, and sense of purpose, while offering practical insights for embodying this state in your daily life. To begin, let's clarify what it means to live beyond the ego. The ego isn't inherently bad. It serves essential functions, such as helping us navigate social interactions, set boundaries, and pursue goals. However, when the ego dominates, it creates separation, comparison, and attachment, leading to suffering. Living beyond the ego doesn't mean becoming emotionless or detached. Instead, it means engaging fully with life from a place of presence, compassion, and wisdom. You still experience joy, sadness, anger, and love, but without clinging to them or pushing them away. Instead, you meet each moment with openness and curiosity, allowing life to unfold naturally. One of the most profound shifts that occurs when we live beyond the ego is an increased capacity for connection. The ego thrives on division. It labels people as friends or enemies, worthy or unworthy, similar or different. These divisions keep us isolated, fostering fear and mistrust. When we transcend the ego, however, we recognize the shared humanity beneath surface differences. We see others not as competitors or threats, but as fellow travelers navigating the same challenges and aspirations. This perspective fosters empathy, kindness, and collaboration. Relationships deepen because they're no longer driven by the ego's need for validation or control. They become spaces of mutual support, growth, and celebration. Consider how this shift affects communication. When the ego is in charge, conversations often revolve around winning arguments, proving points, or seeking approval. Living beyond the ego transforms dialogue into authentic exchange. You listen deeply, suspending judgment and defensiveness. You speak truthfully yet kindly, prioritizing understanding over persuasion. Conflict resolution becomes less adversarial and more cooperative as you seek solutions that honor everyone's needs. Even disagreements take on new meaning. They're opportunities to learn, grow, and strengthen bonds rather than sources of resentment or estrangement. Work and productivity also undergo transformation when we live beyond the ego. The ego ties success to external markers, titles, salaries, accolades, leaving us perpetually chasing the next achievement. Living beyond the ego redefines success in terms of contribution, fulfillment, and alignment with values. Your work becomes an expression of who you are rather than a means to prove your worth. Creativity flourishes because you're no longer constrained by fear of failure or criticism. Ideas flow freely, unencumbered by self-doubt or perfectionism. Collaboration replaces competition as you recognize that collective progress benefits everyone, including yourself. This shift extends to leadership as well. Ego-driven leaders prioritize power, recognition, and control, often at the expense of their team's well-being. Leaders who live beyond the ego inspire trust, loyalty, and innovation. They lead with humility, acknowledging their own fallibility and valuing diverse perspectives. Decisions are guided by ethical considerations rather than personal gain. Mistakes are seen as learning opportunities rather than failures. Such leadership fosters environments where individuals feel empowered to contribute their best, knowing they're appreciated for who they are, not just what they produce. Creativity too reaches new heights when untethered from the ego's constraints. The ego fears vulnerability, rejection, and imperfection. stifling artistic expression. Living beyond the ego liberates creativity by embracing uncertainty and experimentation. You create not to impress others or fulfill expectations, but to express your inner world authentically. Art, writing, music, dance, all forms of creative endeavor become acts of service, gifts offered to the world without attachment to outcomes. Paradoxically, releasing the need for external validation often leads to greater appreciation and impact, as authenticity resonates deeply with audiences. Purpose takes on a broader, more inclusive dimension when we live beyond the ego. The ego seeks purpose primarily through individual achievement, focusing narrowly on personal goals and ambitions. Beyond the ego, purpose expands to encompass the well-being of all beings. You realize that your actions ripple outward, influencing countless lives in ways you may never fully comprehend. This awareness inspires a sense of responsibility, not out of obligation, but out of love. Acts of service, kindness, and stewardship become natural expressions of your interconnectedness with the world. Whether planting trees, mentoring young people, or advocating for social justice, your efforts contribute to a larger tapestry of healing and harmony. Even challenges and hardships transform when viewed through the lens of living beyond the ego. Pain remains painful, loss remains devastating, but these experiences lose their permanence and absoluteness. You understand that everything changes, joy gives way to sorrow, hardship yields to ease, and that impermanence itself is a source of beauty. Difficult emotions no longer define you, they pass through like clouds across the sky. Resilience grows as you develop the ability to hold both light and shadow within yourself, embracing the full spectrum of human experience. Mindfulness and meditation play pivotal roles in sustaining this way of being. Through mindfulness, you anchor yourself in the present moment, preventing the ego from hijacking your attention with regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. Meditation strengthens your capacity to observe thoughts and emotions without identifying with them, creating space for clarity and wisdom to emerge. Over time, these practices cultivate equanimity, a balanced state of mind that remains steady regardless of circumstances. Equanimity doesn't mean indifference, it means responding skillfully to whatever arises, guided by compassion and insight. Self-care becomes integral to living beyond the ego. Unlike ego-driven self-care, which focuses on indulgence or escape, true self-care nourishes body, mind, and spirit holistically. It involves honoring your needs without guilt or shame, resting when tired, setting boundaries when overwhelmed, pursuing activities that bring joy and fulfillment. Self-care isn't selfish. It's foundational to showing up fully for yourself and others. By nurturing your own well-being, you create a reservoir of energy and resilience to share with the world. Nature offers invaluable lessons in living beyond the ego. Observing the cycles of seasons, tides, and ecosystems reminds us of life's inherent rhythms and interdependence. Trees don't compete for sunlight. Rivers don't resist flowing downhill. Each element plays its part harmoniously, contributing to the whole without demanding recognition or reward. Spending time in nature reconnects us to this wisdom, dissolving the illusion of separateness and restoring a sense of belonging. Walking barefoot on grass, listening to birdsong, or watching waves crash against rocks grounds us in something larger than ourselves. Community plays a vital role in supporting this way of life. Just as individual drops form an ocean, collective efforts amplify positive change. Engaging with communities, whether local, online, or global, fosters a sense of solidarity and shared purpose. Together we tackle systemic issues like inequality, climate change, and injustice, recognizing that solutions require cooperation rather than competition. Celebrating diversity enriches our understanding and expands our capacity for empathy. Community reminds us that we're stronger together, capable of achieving far more collectively than individually. Finally, let's reflect on the spiritual dimensions of living beyond the ego. Many traditions describe this state as awakening, enlightenment, or liberation. While terminology varies, the essence remains the same. realizing your interconnectedness with all beings and the universe itself. This realization dissolves fear, greed, and hatred, replacing them with love, generosity, and peace. Living beyond the ego isn't a destination but an ongoing process, a continual unfolding of awareness and compassion. Each moment presents an opportunity to choose presence over distraction, connection over separation, and love over fear. In summary, living beyond the ego represents the culmination of everything we've explored throughout this journey. It's a way of being that transcends the ego's limitations, embracing the richness and complexity of life with open arms. Through mindful relationships, meaningful work, boundless creativity, inclusive purpose, resilient responses to challenges, holistic self-care, reverence for nature, and engagement with community, we embody this state in tangible ways. Mindfulness and meditation sustain it, grounding us in the present moment and fostering equanimity. Ultimately, living beyond the ego isn't about achieving some distant ideal. It's about showing up fully, authentically, and lovingly in every breath you take. As we conclude this exploration of freeing the ego through Buddhism, meditation, and mindfulness, carry this vision with you. Let it guide your steps, shape your choices, and illuminate your path. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. It continues with each conscious decision to live from the heart, to embrace the mystery, and to contribute to the greater good. May you walk lightly, breathe deeply, and find peace in every step of your journey. Thank you for joining me on this journey through meditation, mindfulness, and the timeless wisdom of Buddhism. Over the past 2 hours, we've explored how these practices can help us free ourselves from the constraints of the ego, cultivate deeper awareness, and live with greater peace and authenticity. Whether you're new to these concepts or deepening an existing practice, I hope you've found inspiration, insight, and tools to support your path forward. Remember, transformation is a process, not a destination. It unfolds gradually, one breath, one moment, one choice at a time. Be patient with yourself as you integrate these teachings into your life. Celebrate small victories, learn from challenges, and trust that every step brings you closer to the freedom and fulfillment you seek. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to the Mindful Zone for more content designed to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Sharing this video with someone who might benefit would mean so much. It's through connection and community that we amplify the impact of these teachings. Before we part ways, take a moment to reflect on what you've discovered today. What insights stand out most for you? How will you carry this wisdom into your daily life? Let these questions guide you as you move forward, knowing that the seeds you plant now have the power to blossom in ways you may not yet imagine. Until next time, may you walk lightly, breathe deeply, and find joy in the simple beauty of each unfolding moment. Namaste.